everybody. Welcome to another CineFix Now Roundtable. We're going to talk for the next, 25 minutes or so.
Yeah, we lose the room in 30, so we should.
Okay, great. Well, we'll get right into it. Fun things that happened this week. Award season keeps trucking right along, and one of the most exciting things about the Golden Globes was that Transparent did so well, which in turn means that Amazon is also doing well as a content creator.
It's crazy.
Amazon is on the books, whereas this time last year, I think we were all like, Netflix is doing so great. Amazon.
Amazon's really got a good job.
They got that alpha house and that beta team. I think they've maybe changed their model a little bit because I remember originally they went through this like weird. You had to go through this like super intense, really weird sort of like factory process where they put everything in like up for voting, and then they made them, and then that was up for voting. But then on the creative end, before anybody saw the pilots, and then they got voted on, because the script went through like multiple rewrites by multiple notes from like a whole team of people, and then they storyboarded every single shot of the pilot.
They didn't stop there either. They would do animatics.
Yeah, and then
they would basically animate the story.
The animatics of Alpha House.
And you would vote on the storyboards, and you would vote on the animatics, and it was like everything became a camel. Part
of the reason for that was like their whole business model was like, we got to get Prime members. Prime members is what's gonna like keep us afloat because they don't really make a whole lot of money on the transactions because the margins are all so low and so like everybody paying them $8 a month for whatever was like that was their whole goal.
Right.
And so all of their original stuff, all of their video service was geared directly to entice Prime members.
But I think they've looked at what Netflix was doing and they said, okay, we should maybe trust the creatives a bit more.
Right. Well, and they're certainly starting to, because, and that's the big news this week is that Woody Allen has now signed a deal with Amazon to do.
And he's skipping the voting process entirely.
Yeah. Right. There is no voting. I don't think there is.
He doesn't even have a thing that he's doing.
That's his joke. That's
right?
his one-liner for every interview is that he's saying, "Oh, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I don't even have an idea. This is all going to be a horrible mistake."
It might be.
It's classic. Wow, that's great.
He's made so many movies, like almost every year.
Well, yeah, he'll make something, and it will happen.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Woody Allen fan to begin with, so my excitement level on this is mostly about the prestige, such as it is. Although Woody Allen is in a kind of tough PR situation overall.
He skips the whole voting process entirely when you have like Ridley Scott doing a pilot based on a Philip K. Dick novel that still has to go through the voting process so that like...
So they're not getting rid of the voting process.
No, it still exists.
That's so weird.
Partially because they have things like Ridley Scott's pilot in the middle of the voting process. So it'd be really random to just like stop it. I think there's some value. I think there's something cool about a version of the voting process that doesn't involve like animatics and
voting on the finished product seems fine.
Voting on the scripts and then voting on the pilot.
Doing it in lieu of all the focus groups that they put pilots through anyway. That seems fine.
I think voting on either the scripts or the pilots has a certain value to it. In the new talent department.
Weird, because it feels like they don't trust themselves to be like, this is good, I think people will enjoy it.
But they're retailers. Should they trust themselves to do that? I mean, they don't know what they're doing.
Look, Amazon is a retailer, but like the people that run that's part of Amazon are not retailers.
Now.
They're all in the Sherman Oaks Galleria, and they're smart people.
Now I think they have some really great executives. I think when they started that program, they didn't.
And there's a chicken and an egg thing going on too, because I don't think anybody wanted to work for a company whose model was based on the whims of whoever was a Prime member.
Right.
Well, and the other interesting thing too is that the landscape for all of these digital outlets is changing. Like whoa.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, HBO is even just
describe it like that.
completely
That's the thing.
Doing the Netflix model.
HBO is uncoupling. You don't need a cable subscription for it.
Coming in April.
BBC is leaving Netflix. That deal's not going to get renewed, and BBC is supposedly thinking about doing an HBO.
Stop this! Go watch all your favorite BBC shows right now.
Even when I using my PS4 and I can look at the trailer for Powers that's coming out later this year. It's
and Sling TV is another thing that's coming out where Sling TV is essentially the
It's a
beginnings
cable.
of the a la carte cable
Right.
cable plans. That's all streaming. But the interesting thing too about the way that Amazon is coming up right now, it's really good timing because like Netflix might be in some trouble if they lose some of their TV deals.
I don't think
like there's going to be less content for Netflix to have.
we all thought that when they were losing that big deal they had with what studio was it? I can't remember, but they had a bunch of movies years ago, and then they lost those, but then they doubled down on TV.
Paramount, wasn't it?
It wasn't.
Yeah, it was something.
It was
Yeah,
New
but
Line.
I
I think it was New Line, and they had a ton of movies they lost, and everyone's like they're over, but then they picked up on TV. So they've been really good at adapting to this sort of lost
yes,
thing.
And they'll have to pivot again, but I think the landscape is changing more, and it's not going to happen like
Yeah,
next
there
week.
are other
but-
companies with the technological ability to
Yeah.
slide in the space that Netflix abandons or loses this time around. 5 years ago, like nobody else could be Netflix. Nobody had the engineering to be Netflix.
And that's the problem, that like if Paramount decides to launch Paramount Online and MGM decides to launch MGM Online and BBC decides to launch BBC Online, at some point they're like, why would we license any of our stuff to you when we could just license it to ourselves? And someone will pay $3 a month to watch all the Paramount movies.
If BBC is getting $5 a month from me, like they don't need to license anything to Netflix, you know. So, which is, I mean, and Netflix obviously they know what they're doing and they've been around and they've pivoted in some really remarkable ways over the years, and they'll do it again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be a trick because I mean, if BBC, if Paramount, if the studios, if whoever ends up, you know, providing all this content, if they're just giving it directly to us and we're giving our money directly to them, like it's going to change.
The thing, though, is that I think since Netflix has always been trying to like follow the HBO model, and just like HBO, I think Netflix is by the point we get to when everybody has their own SVOD platform, and maybe we're in a situation where Netflix can't license as much anymore. I don't think it'll ever be that dire. I think they'll always have something to license. But
They're not. It's not like they're going to be like,
What happened?
But let's pretend that in like 10 years, every single outlet has an SVOD thing, and no one will literally license anything. By that point, just like HBO Go, they'll have such a library of original content that there's a reason to subscribe for Netflix.
Well, they already do.
They would have to lower their price again, but
yeah. I mean, it'll be a bit of a trick because, and also at some point, like, there is a finite number of subscribers.
Yeah, and
you know, which
do
is
all
true.
the
So there's a-
subscribers want to pay 3 times 15 outlets dollars a month?
Well, that's where cable's going to come
know.
back into play.
Yeah,
and like,
cable-
well, but for $20
Yeah,
you get
cable will be
100
like,
channels.
I'll aggregate it, I'll sort of spread your money among the portals that you use most, and, you know, I'll be your...
Which, so long as they're doing that in a more, you know, in a more selective way, like I feel like the days of the like, here's 194 channels.
that's all.
Here you go. I think those days are coming to an
glad
end.
I have 5 golf channels.
Yeah, like if there are bundles of, you know, 6 or 8 channels that you can pick and choose from, I think that's where we're headed.
And that's arguably what Sling TV is. already.
No, that's exactly what it is right now. Yeah, I mean, you can't choose the basic package yet, but like, and I think Sling TV is going to be an example of one of those things. Like, this is the first one to do it, and the next one is going to get it right.
Yeah, right. This is a
Sling TV
MySpace.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
Facebook.
Sling TV 's gonna
Facebook is
do
around
it.
the corner.
You know, I don't know why you guys are all worried. It's like Netflix is going to make 4 Adam Sandler movies. So, like, you know, it's going to be amazing.
Fuck, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I got something I want to talk about.
Oh, let's talk about it.
I want to talk about this. This is huge news that just came out. Tom Hardy has left Suicide Squad. He was going to play Rick Flag, the leader of the squad. This is pretty big. I mean, Rick Flag is the lead of the Suicide Squad, so he's basically lead of the movie. And I guess he had scheduling issues with a movie he's working on with Leo. It's a new movie by the director of Birdman, and so he had to leave. They have a date. This movie has to get done. Apparently, they're trying the studio scrambling, trying to get Jake Gyllenhaal to take over.
He's
That'd
worked
be
with David Ayer before, and
And
you watch.
he's huge now.
Yeah.
really sad.
He did get ripped for that boxer movie.
After
yeah.
Jarhead, he got...
No.
No.
for Southpaw.
He's like, the movie he's got coming out later this year.
Southpaw.
He's like
he's
stupid
like-
jacked.
He lost a bunch for Nightcrawler, then he got a whole bunch
He
back.
looks like Hugh Jackman. He's gigantic.
I'm wondering because Gyllenhaal got bit by the whole like Prince of Persia thing. I'm wondering if he just wants to stay with more like interesting characters like Nightcrawler.
Well, I think he's got a chance to take another stab at the Prince of Persia thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think working with David Ayer and with the sort of prestige that superhero movies have now and that DC has now, I think it's a safer bet than it was to be in Prince of Persia.
It's got Jared Leto, it's got Will Smith. He's putting himself. He's putting Viola Davis. He's putting himself within a pedigree of people that he's not gonna. It's not. That being said, Prince of Persia had.
Well, you didn't say it. You didn't finish your thought.
Oh, that he's putting himself within a pedigree of people that I feel like he won't be super embarrassed. He won't be so scared that it's going to turn into Prince of Persia.
It'll be a group embarrassment.
Right.
But wasn't Ben Kingsley in Prince of Persia?
But
here's the thing.
He's also in Blood Rain.
Ben Kingsley doesn't count. That was that was going to be my point. If you were going to play the Ben Kingsley card, like he is in.
I was actually shocked when he was in Iron Man 3. I was like, they even let him be in big movies anymore? Because he will do anything. You know who I actually really wouldn't mind, and I'm sure everyone will disagree with me, but I kind of feel like, with what I know about Flag, I kind of feel like Bradley Cooper would be good for the role.
He is handsome.
And I just like because Flag is this guy. He's got to be. That's true. Well, but that's exactly. And he's in Marvel. But you know the thing is that the character Rick Flag, he hates the squad because they're criminals and he's a soldier and he has to deal with these people. And I think Bradley Cooper is always best, maybe until American Sniper, when he's just really adversarial with people. When he doesn't like people.
No, there's some of that in American Sniper.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, I haven't seen Sniper,
like
so I don't know.
He shoots.
Oh, well, which is probably good. Yeah, but they will all die.
He's real clear about that.
But you know, even like I liked him in like American Hustle, even though I didn't like it that much because he's good at playing that guy. You know.
I have to say, if I had the choice between an Iñárritu movie and Suicide Squad, I would also pick these.
Well, and it really speaks.
Okay, it's the best possible reason he could have left. You know? It's not like he had some huge blow up with the director or the rest of the cast. It's not like he's like, I've decided I don't want to do superhero movies. It's like, I want to work with this incredible director and this other incredible actor. Not that the rest of the Suicide Squad cast is incredible.
It really speaks to the kind of actor that Tom Hardy wants to be, though.
Yeah.
Like that's not a choice many people make. So speaking of big time folks and big time casts, and a guy that I'm glad is big timing again, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Is he big time yet? I think he's
Getting
coming
there.
back.
Well,
he's coming back.
I mean, if he takes the statue home, he'll be big time.
He's cashing in on the potential to be big timing. Because he's gonna do Skull Island, the King Kong movie. Hiddleston's already in that. It's Hiddleston, right?
Yeah, Hiddleston and J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Jordan Voight Roberts, who's the guy who directed Kings of Summer.
Yeah.
Well, it's another choice like Colin Trevorrow for Jurassic World.
Right.
Like it's.
Or Godzilla. The guy who
It's
made
like
Godzilla.
you made one good
Well, no, because he at least made a monster movie though. Like it was indie, but it was low budget, but it was a monster movie, so that made sense for Godzilla.
Or Mark Webb for Spider-Man. We all know that worked out.
I think, but I actually think it's a really bad idea so far in most of the track records when they take a good director who's made a good low budget film and then give him 70 million times more money without him going like mid-budget film, like without him like going through the process of growing.
The guy who made that all happen was Nolan, because he made like Memento and Insomnia, and then they gave him Batman.
But he started following was like very, very low budget.
Yeah.
And then Memento had a bigger budget. Insomnia had a mid-range budget. Yeah. He like grew over time.
Yeah.
And he got to work with
It still
progressively
felt like a
bigger
big
actors
budget,
too, because like
progressively bigger
Pacino and Robin
actors,
Williams, he got to work with.
Progressively bigger crews,
Yeah.
progressively more special effects.
Well, and I think Del Toro is another good example where he starts small and gets bigger, but then you get to the Hellboy movies that were like really big budget, and there's these moments where like he didn't know what to do with that extra money.
Yeah.
Right.
So like he's like standing in one location shooting the biggest, most beautiful god creature ever, but he's just standing in one location. You know, and
The thing about like Christopher Nolan and the thing about Guillermo del Toro is like they had a real specific voice that translated to those larger budget projects. Whereas Safety Not Guaranteed to Jurassic World for Colin Trevorrow doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
And
Like-
Kings of Summer to
King Kong doesn't make any sense. I mean, the guy.
Well, it's Skull Island. Summer goes with islands because you go there for like a vacation.
Maybe there's no humans in it. They're all just giant monkeys hanging out, having some hipster time.
No, that's my spec script going bananas.
It's actually
That is a really good name for that movie.
it's actually an indie sort of feeling character drama about three giant apes just trying to work through their father's son
Three giant
issues.
apes trying to hold down a job in the big city.
So Michael Keaton's going to be in Going Ape 3 or
Nice.
something.
Yeah.
But he's also going to play Ray Kroc.
Yeah, he's in at the moment. He's in
So
talks,
that's a
or
serious
he's signed
role.
up, or at some point he's he's going to play the founder of McDonald's, Ray Kroc.
Wow.
He's playing what?
That's a super
of
villain.
McDonald's. The guy he bought it from the McDonald's brothers back in the 50s and turned it into McDonald's.
Oh.
So we're doing this. They're doing the McDonald's social network.
It's John Lee Hancock too is directing it. The guy who did Saving Mr. Banks and like The Rookie and all
Yeah,
these like
so it'll be-
real schmaltzy biopics for Disney. Like
Yeah.
So it's gonna be very
So he's
McDonald's.
gonna be a hero.
It's gonna be the
He
McDonald's.
fed the
movies.
world.
Yeah.
And then they will have to discuss the McDonald's anomaly of no two countries who have a McDonald's in it have ever gone to war except for Russia and Georgia. And then that war only lasted a week.
Who keeps statistics like this?
Politician.
Basically,
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Yeah, they're like over a million
McDonald's
served, no
To
wars.
quote Wesley Snipes, countries they come and go,
Yeah,
but
that's-
a McDonald's is forever.
What movie's that from? Is that Expendables 3?
No, it's from Art of
Wesley
War.
Snipes. It's from his
Oh God! You quoted Art of War.
You quoted Wesley Snipes' Art of War, not Sun Tzu's.
No. Yeah. Wesley Snipes' Art of War, not Sun Tzu.
If Sun Tzu had said that, he would be right because McDonald's would be
McDonald's
thousands
is
of
forever.
Right.
I want a really dark biopic of the first guy. It was Ronald McDonald, and I don't know if there's any dark going on, but I'd like to imagine he had some real issues.
Anybody
he's
that
messed
chooses
up.
to be a clown, I'd like to think is
Well, he's
Screwed up and
forced.
already dressed as a clown
Yeah.
before Ronald McDonald even existed.
Yeah.
He's like, this homeless guy needs a job. Let's make him the clown. Bring kids in.
Real dark.
The other thing we want to talk about today is all the science fiction that's going to be on TV in 2015.
There's a lot.
There's so
Wow,
much of
there
it.
is.
I have a
I'm
list
excited.
here.
Oh my
I'm not
God.
going to read out loud, but I mean, look at how long
no,
this
read
list
it out loud
is.
because I don't know how that
Can I
is.
say something real quick?
Some of it is returning stuff.
Can I say something real quick? Ascension was on late last year. It was fantastic. I don't think enough people saw it, and if you can, you should see it. It was
Are we
great.
doing PSAs?
Sci-fi's
Oh, PSA.
Because
PSA number two.
Ridley Scott's pilot for The Man in the High Castle is pretty good, and I didn't like the book. So you should check that out on Amazon Prime.
Wow.
12 Monkeys coming out.
Right.
I'm really excited.
I'm excited for that. That
Orphan
looks like
Black's
a-
coming back. Westworld, I'm real excited about Westworld.
That's gonna be dark.
That's going to be real weird.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of robot prostitutes in that movie.
Childhood End, which we've talked about before, is coming out this
love that
year.
book.
That's gonna be
There's a
great.
show
Crazy
called
good.
Humans. Ascension, you mentioned. Expanse is another sort of Battlestar looking.
I don't know Expanse.
There's a trailer for it just came out this week, but it's
Yeah.
like
It's
it's very Robert Heinlein.
Oh, okay.
The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Did you ever read that book?
No.
It sounds exactly like that one.
Wow.
But all that to say, there is a ton of new and returning science fiction.
That's
Yeah.
so great.
Coming on TV.
We
Well,
haven't
here's-
had enough in a long time.
No, but now we might have too much.
Well, here's my thought on hearing that list and the adjectives we attach to it. We were talking about Star Trek earlier today because we were talking about how Justin Lin's going to direct it and, Star Trek 3. And I'm like, oh, there's so much sci-fi on TV now. I wish they'd just bring Star Trek back to TV,
Yeah.
except in this environment with all this super dark sci-fi, clearly TV doesn't want Star Trek right now, and I would not want the current TV version of Star Trek.
But here's the thing. I think that as TV continues to get, I think, a little oversaturated with sci-fi, and I'm a huge sci-fi fan, but there's a point, right? And so I think that as it starts getting oversaturated with sci-fi, and especially dark sci-fi, something refreshing like Star Trek, like something adventure-y and fun and family-oriented, I think could do really well in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, 3 years from now I'm gonna peg it. Like 3 years from now I want to see the sixth Star
The
Trek
super
series on
colorful
TV.
Star Trek.
It doesn't have to be super colorful. It just has to have at its core like an organization that wants to make the world better.
Right. Well, and
And I
the
don't
universe
trust that
better.
any of
And
those.
that's the thing about looking at all of these shows that are coming out. And science fiction has always been very politically motivated.
Yeah.
And so just looking around at current events, like this is a good time for science fiction to sort of blossom and be able to make some interesting statements about the world we're living in.
I think we've been importing a lot of our really good sci-fi lately too. Like I think.
Well, BBC America's been doing a good
America, like obviously Doctor Who, Orphan Black, Continuum, Black Mirror, and I think that these are like, why aren't we making these anymore? And I think part of it, I think Lost kind of hurt sci-fi for a long time. I think people were afraid of sci-fi for after what happened with Lost, and
well, I think also sci-fi, Sci-fi, the channel,
Yes.
I think hurt sci-fi.
Yeah.
Because
by not doing sci-fi.
by not doing sci-fi and by focusing on things, but it wasn't their fault in some extent because. It wasn't their fault to some extent because the ratings didn't support it, right? Like they put a big effort into sci-fi, and then after Battlestar, everything they tried flopped, and you could argue about the quality of
All
it.
they tried
but,
was Caprica.
I don't think no. They had like 2 or 3 other ones that nothing great. No, all of it was shit. I'll agree with you.
Well, that's totally their fault.
Yeah. I mean,
They extrapolated that like sci-fi is not popular
But then when
because
they-
we
but
should
then-
suck
But
at
then,
it.
then when they bounced the other direction to like Warehouse
Helix.
13 and like they had Warehouse 13 for years, right? And so like they bounced to more fun sci-fi, and with more fun sci-fi came also shit like Sharknado.
yeah.
but I mean, Sharknado kind of helped sci-fi.
It did.
Weird
And
way,
now-
in this
and now I
bizarre
think-
way.
Now I think it's shifting back and being like, "Ooh, we got you. You got here. Now let's try like sci-fi again."
Yeah, I think we were in the clutches of fantasy for a really long time. Like we have Once Upon a Time. Even Warehouse 13 really was more fantasy than
and so
sci-fi.
is the Librarians.
The
which
Librarians.
I rather like.
I mean, the Librarians was made by the same team that made Stargate SG-1, and like that's a fun universe. It's you know what you're gonna get.
There are stakes, but not really.
It's campy.
we're all gonna make it through this.
Well, the other thing that Lost, I think, really hurt in terms of sci-fi is that the message got through that it has to be super serialized. Like, you must watch every episode and preferably take notes. Like, I don't mind serialized,
Was Lost
but
really considered sci-fi?
Oh,
It always sort of-
it's sci-fi
It always
enough.
sort of felt like a Twin Peaks kind
that's
of
probably the
knockoff
other
more
thing that
than-
hurt sci-fi was that they're like, Lost is the best sci-fi show on TV right
not
now,
even
which it
Yeah.
was because it was quite good. But then,
I don't think it counts as sci-fi.
everybody's like,
Well,
this is what sci-fi is supposed to be.
because it
It's
kept
supposed
as
to be-
general as possible.
It's like the urban fantasy
Well, that's
version of
just middle.
sci-fi. It's like,
yeah.
it's,
But when people don't understand stuff, sometimes you just put it in sci-fi. And because they had time travel and they
it's the
had
same-
like
it's the same
weird
thing,
polar
like,
bears appear out of nowhere.
Barnes and Noble has the section science fiction / fantasy. It's
Yeah.
like, well, that's like just about everything that's not like crime.
It's the two polar opposites of non-real.
Just and also looking at all of this list of shows that's coming out, it really makes me think that that Almost Human was like a year and a half too soon.
Yeah.
Because I love that show.
Nothing happened with
It was so good.
Truly,
well,
really
you know,
loves Almost Human.
you know how they screwed up.
John
on Almost
Larroquette
Human?
was a villain.
I know. Well, at least,
so good.
but he's got a great job in Librarians now, at least.
Yeah.
You know how they screwed up in Almost Human? I've been thinking about this a lot because I love Almost Human. Was there was like no love story at all, and on TV to survive, you need a love story. You need it.
There was part of one, no?
Look, there was that girl with brown hair that he was giving cutie eyes to.
Yeah, but they
that's
took
the
too
part.
long. They had one episode where they kind of connected, and it was like 7 episodes in, and you already lost like most of the female audience except for hardcore geeks.
Well, you had already
who
shown
were
sex
feeling-
bots by that point.
Right, but that's the thing. There was no romance. I think
They
that
did
killed
blow
it.
the sex bot wad pretty early in the series.
Yeah.
Why do you have to have a room?
You just have to. It's just part of survival on TV because most of the female demo and some of the guy demo wants to see a romance. It's just the way it is.
or
Mulder and
romantic-
Scully,
I know,
first episode.
I like how you just look at me to confirm.
Yeah, I'm like, do you must you have romance in everything?
You don't
want?
have to, but here's the thing.
Small a sample size.
The female audience reads and writes fan fiction. That was my entree into fandom, and I think that's a lot of other female fans of things entree, is that you read and write fan fiction, and basically fan fiction is almost always romance oriented because it's the only thing where amateur writers can still manage to string a plot
You
together
talking
that
about
makes
fan
sense.
fiction or slash fiction?
Either way.
Either one.
Like, hooking up your two characters, your OTP, your one true pairing in fan fiction, that's the only plot that amateur writers can usually just kind of take from start to finish. Yeah. And so it's the only fan fiction usually worth bothering with. And if there's no OTP in Almost Human, then it does. I don't know if it alienates the female audience, but
between the cripple and the robot.
Even like Doctor Who, when it was been really big over the last few years, they've had like romantic elements, and that's part of the reason why Doctor Who has been doing well when it came back.
Like, sexual tension is something that just anybody responds to.
Yeah.
Like, no matter who you are, what you believe in, how you were raised, whatever. Like, if there's quality like sexual tension, like those two people want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, everybody gets that and can respond to that.
Yeah. And everybody's like, I want to see where this is going. I will tune in next week.
I wonder if they're going to bang.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God.
So that's all TV is. It's just I wonder if they're gonna bang.
But that's like half of it.
No payoff unless you're watching on cable.
Yeah.
Dude,
with a fade to black as your payoff.
That's everything except for Game of Thrones because they're gonna bang. Like, we already know they're going to bang. Yeah.
It's like fight bang, fight bang.
I don't know if you ever
Kill
watched
bang,
C-SPAN.
murder bang, bang murder.
It's the cheapest way to get what's going to happen next week intrigue in your first 5 It's the amateur all the way up to pro professional way to get people to be like, that seems interesting and like it's going somewhere.
So you heard it here first, according to Dave Lacey. Put quotes around this and put Dave Lacey's name under it. Sci-fi needs a Ross and Rachel. That's what he said, and we all heard it.
Or a Jim and Pam.
Or a Jim and Pam, that's fine.
I just said a TV show needs romance to survive. But I guess
Jim and Pam sounds like a kitchen utensil.
Well, that's enough for this week. Let us know what you think about all that stuff in the comments down below. How many Jim and Pams do you currently have in your kitchen? We want to know. Remember to quote Dave Lacey everywhere you possibly can. Hashtag sci-fi needs a Ross and Rachel. And come back next time for more movie news on CineFix Now.
Does CineFix need a Ross and Rachel?
It wouldn't hurt us.
you guys, we're gonna have to. That'll be our next bracket. We'll just have to vote. You guys vote. Who will be the CineFix?
Dave, next time you get a haircut, get the Rachel.
I will.
That'll be good.